Hey, QED coders, this is Michael. I'm director of improving at director of improving. Director of improving. I like that one. Director of consulting at Improving, and we are talking about immutable architecture on this channel. So, if you would like to join us live, go to immutablearchitecture.com, join the Discord, and we talk every week at this time live on YouTube. So you can just log in there and follow along as well. Yeah, so today I would like to show you a little bit of work that I've been doing on the Janaga replicator Docker image. So this is an image that you can self-host, and as we saw last week, we have authorization in the Docker image, but authorization is not very useful without authentication. So this week, let's dive into some authentication. Okay, and so to kick things off, I will switch to the browser. There we go. Okay, so if anybody joins us, they will show up right here. Might be you. So last time we ran into some demo issues, and that had to do with what I initially thought was line endings. Close, not quite. It's the byte order mark. So I was generating a file using Windows and then copying that into a folder that was mounted to a Linux container. So the byte order mark that Windows used for UTF-16, Node was not able to read that. So did a bit of research, and then found that, first of all, I was already taking a dependency upon a library that will parse text files in different encodings, and it just needed to know what encoding to use. So I did a bit of research and found Chardet, which detects the character encoding. So combining this with the other library, I can't remember the name off the top of my head, you get what you need. So I've got that in there, and then the very next thing that I worked on was authentication. Let's spin up a Yeah, I just heard the Badook. I was checking to see if it was somebody messaging me on Discord. So, all right. So I want to spin up a new Docker container using this new image. So let me get Docker Desktop started, and we will do that. I didn't think to start Docker Desktop before getting signed in this morning, but yeah, right there, Docker Desktop is running. Well, it's not showing me. Go to the dashboard. There's the dashboard. Okay. Very nice. Okay, well, the first thing to show, hey, we have ASCII art. We have a nice, easy way to see where Janaga is in the startup. So that is super helpful now. Oops, hold on, I got signed out. Let me get signed in again. How did that happen? All right. I want to go to Google, and I'm signing in with this. Nope. Yes. Okay. Goodness. Yeah, that is quite unfortunate. So apparently the tokens uh, for YouTube expire on the 1 week boundary. So that means that since I stream once a week, I have to log in every time. All right, so we are trying to use Docker Desktop. Okay, we have the ASCII art logo, which shows us that yes, we were able to log in, or we were able to start the Janaka replicator. So all that is working. Well, let's start from the beginning though. So I'm going to go back to my replicator here. Let me go ahead and delete that one. And let's start fresh. I've got some instructions over here that are going to help me with that. I'm going to go to this little window right here, this little terminal, and let's create a replicator. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to create a couple of files here. So I made a directory called .policies. There's that directory right there. And I did a touch on no security policies. So I've got this empty folder, or this empty file right here that that indicates that I should not expect to find any security policies in this folder. I also did another one called authentication. And this one I did a marker file called allow anonymous. So that should allow me to anonymously authenticate with the replicator. So with those in place, now I should be able to do this. Let's go ahead and, whoops. Yeah, that is right. It is 4 lines. Okay. So I'm doing a Docker run disconnected, starting a new container called my replicator, and it's exposing port 8080. So far, so good. Now, the next things that it's doing here, it's mounting to the policies, the var lib replicator policies directory inside of the container. It's mounting my host directory /policies. And then doing the same thing with the varlib replicator authentication, mounting the authentication folder. So once I've got that started up, now we see this brand new container and it's running. And let's look for that ASCII art. Zoop, there it is. Woohoo! Which means that Janaka has started. So because Janaka is running, I can hit this replicator. We can see a couple of warnings here. Security policies are disabled and anonymous access is allowed. And that's because of those 2 marker files. So one of those marker files, no security policies, disabled security policies. Allow anonymous, that allowed me to access the replicator without logging in. And so, by the way, if you want to run the replicator in this way, you don't need to set all this up yourself. Instead, you can run Janaka /Janaka replicator no security policies, and that image runs in this way. Okay, so we have a replicator up and running. Let's hit it. I have here some HTTP files. So this one is going to read, using this fake user, all of their blog sites. So let's hook up to the local environment, which is this environment file right here. That says the replicator URL is localhost 8080 /Janaka. And then I can run it. And we get back an empty array. There are no sites in this brand new replicator. So let's create one. Here we're hitting the right endpoint, that same user. We are writing the site, michaelperry.net. That one runs. Oh, I need to select my, wait a minute. Session there. Local, yeah, that should have worked. URL, replicator URL is not defined. It's defined right here. Let's just make sure that we've got that. Okay, yeah, we get back a 201 created. All right. Now, if we come back here and we try to read, we will see michaelperry.net. So that is testing out a replicator with no security rules, no authentication, everything wide open. This is a great way to just kind of explore your model, just figure things out to start with. But then at some point, we're going to want to lock things down. And so to do that, let me scoot on over to my notes here. The first thing I'm going to want to do is require authentication. So let's take this allow anonymous marker file and delete that. Now we should no longer allow anonymous. Of course, we have to restart the container in order to pick that new setting up. And once we do, there we go. We get our ASCII art showing that everything is started, and we only have one warning. Security policies are disabled, but we're no longer allowing anonymous access. So that means that if I try to get sites, boom, I don't have a token. So I cannot just simply hit this endpoint without providing some sort of security token. Now, how do I know what kind of security token to provide, and how do I generate that token? That is what we are going to explore. So the way to generate a token is to use an identity provider. This is a really good one, FusionAuth. So I've used FusionAuth for my professional work. I have not yet used it for any personal projects. But the nice thing about FusionAuth is that it runs in a container, self-hosted, and it's open source. And so you can just run it on your own without even registering. You don't even need a license. You have an open source license. You just start it up and run. But if you do choose to create an account with them, then you can get support, and then you can you can use their hosting service. So then you have them host your identity provider for you, and of course that costs money. That's exactly the same model that I'm going for. So it's completely open source for you to use as a developer, even to self-host, and then if you want to make things easier on yourself, you can buy the hosting. So what I'm going to do is set up the FusionAuth container. Actually, I've already done so. You can see right here. Let's go back to my containers. I've got FusionAuth running in a Docker Compose of 3 containers. So we've got our Postgres database and our search, open search, supporting FusionAuth, and then here's FusionAuth itself running, and it's running in localhost 9011. There it is right there. And so I already initialized it and set up my first application. It's called Blog Maui. Of course, we're going to test with Blog Maui. So in here, I need to sign into that again. So yeah, these tokens probably last about an hour. So I have created my my Blog Maui application. So here's a client ID. I'm going to need that later. Here's a client secret. I am not going to need that one later because I have turned on client authentication not required and Pixie required. So this is really important for you to build a completely browser-based or mobile application. You want other people to handle the server side for you. That means that when you ship your application, you don't want to ship any secrets because it's all shipped to the end user. It's all there in the browser, it's all there in the mobile device. And so that means you don't want this leaking out anywhere. Don't worry about this being on the stream. This is only running on localhost, and I'm going to delete this application when we're done. But I don't want that to be in my client application, and so I've enabled Pixie. And so that is a way for the client application to prove that the authentication started with that client application's session. And that way, the whole point of this client secret is to make sure that other services can't log into this client application and get a token. So that's the reason for that. And Pixie helps to protect the user. They know what application they started with, and so they're getting that application that token just for that application. Now, that is all set up there, and so that means I should be able to take some of these parameters and configure my identity provider. So the way that I'm going to do that is inside of my authentication folder where I used to have that marker file to allow anonymous access. I'm going to create a new file. This is going to be fusion auth.provider. And this is going to be a JSON file that looks something like... we will get to this in a little bit. We'll get to this in a little bit. No, let's go ahead and do this. It looks something like this. So here's my provider, Fusion Auth. The issuer is localhost. Let's go ahead and take a look at where all this information is coming from. I'm going to go back and I'm just, instead of edit, I'm going to go to view. And now I can see all of my OAuth settings. So here's my login, my authenticate URL, authorized URL, and my token endpoint. I'm going to need those. And we've got our client ID right there. And then what we also need here is the issuer. So OAuth configuration somewhere in here. OAuth scopes? No, that's not it. Yeah, JWT. There's where it is. JWT. Expect the issuer to be localhost 9011. And then also it's using the default RSA signing key. So here we're using the algorithm RS256. I haven't updated this. Yeah, this actually isn't the structure anymore. This is supposed to be the key ID. What is that RS256 key ID? So here's the key ID. That's what I want to go here. And then this is the key. What key am I going to use to validate this token? So it's using the default RSA signing key. Let's pop over here to settings and key master. Yes, they are Ghostbusters fans. So you go to the key master in order to get your default RSA signing key. So it's an RSA key. We're going to view it. And we can see in here a certificate and a public key. I just need the public key. I don't need the full certificate. So let me copy that. Now, I would like to paste that right here, but unfortunately that's a multi-line string. So I need to JSON encode that. I'm going to just use a little trick right here called JQ and some special little parameters. We do -r and -s and a dot. And I used to know what those mean, but basically that means I can paste from the command line, hit enter, hit Control D, and now I've got the JSON formatted string. And that's what I can put in there. Okay. So this tells the replicator how to validate the token. So let's go to HTTP YAK, which is the tool that I'm using here in order to send these HTTP files, and let's tell it about all this wonderful stuff. So we are using OAuth 2, the authorization endpoint. We can go ahead and get rid of that for right now. Is localhost 9011 OAuth 2 authorize. And remember, we got that from the application log Maui view. We got the HTTP localhost OAuth 2 authorize. And then all of this other stuff here is the client ID, which is not that anymore. It's that. Boom. Coincidentally started with a 9, but the rest of the characters are mostly different. And then here, using Pixie, true. So all I have given it is the client ID. I have not given it the client secret, but because I'm using Pixie, it doesn't need it. It can still safely guarantee that the client that you're delivering the key back to is the one that initiated the conversation. Prevents those nasty machine-in-the-middle attacks. So now that I've got this set up in HTTP, when I try to get sites, it's going to redirect me. Oh, not quite yet. One more thing I need to do. I need to set the authorization header. So for authorization, I'm going to be using OAuth 2, and I'm using the authorization code flow. So with that, when I hit the button, it if I weren't already logged into FusionAuth, it would have popped the login. But since it's going back to the same browser that already has a cookie for FusionAuth, it said, "Oh, you're already logged in. Here you go." So I would have seen the login there. And now I get that we are unauthorized, invalid issuer. Interesting. What is the issuer that I'm expecting? Oh, that's right. I have not. Well, let's see. Here's the FusionAuth provider. The issuer that I was expecting was. Oh, I haven't restarted since creating this file. Let me restart, and then it will pick up this file. Where is Docker? Here's my replicator. Yeah, let's hit that big blue restart button. I was working with a member of my team and told her to, okay, let's go ahead and clear the log so we can see what's going on. Hit the trash can icon. I meant this one. Yep, she saw this one. Well, the big red one. Okay, I hit the trash can icon. Oh, where's my container? Ah! So, here we go. Security policies are still disabled, but not anonymous authentication. And in fact, we have a provider now. So when I try to get sites, boom, there we go. Ah, invalid audience this time. Okay. FusionAuth provider. That's because the audience needs to be the correct client ID. There we go. Getting closer. Let's restart. And there's our beautiful ASCII art. Now let's try to hit that button again. And invalid signature. Really? Really? Interesting. So it was able to find this key ID. Let's do a little bit of forensics here. Okay, so I want to grab that JWT token. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to I want to get the token. How do I get the token again? There was a way that I could get that token from. Well, let's just redo the login. Okay. So get sites. Hit the button. Oh, it's not restarted. It's using the cache. Okay, let's clear out the sessions. Let's delete the sessions. Boom. This should go back through again. And if I look at this, I might have the token. So let's take a look at the cookie. This right here looks like a JWT token. That may or may not be the right one. Let's go ahead and try that. So it's still saying invalid signature when I do that. But let me go ahead and copy that, and let's see what it looks like. So we're going to go to jwt.io. There's a new version of it. Let's go ahead and do that new version. Nah, we won't worry about that right now. We'll still use the old version. Okay. So we've got an HS256 token here, authorization code, refresh token. Here's the key ID. That's a different key ID. Is that my problem? Let's see. So here, OAuth configuration, and then we go down to JWT, and I've got the access token signing key is this GUID. Ah, that's right, but that is the ID that that FusionAuth uses. That was my problem. Let's go back to the keymaster. And let's view that key. Now, here's the ID, but here's the kid. Here's the one that we expect to see right here. Bam. There's the audience, there's key ID. Okay, so that's updated. Restart. It turns out security is really picky. That's not a bad thing. Okay, now let's try getting the sites using that security policy, and boom, there we go. Okay, so that's what you have to do. You have to make sure that you've got the right audience. That's the same as the client ID in the case of FusionAuth, and you need to make sure that you've got the key ID that is used inside of the JWT token, which is this one right here. Yeah, so this is definitely not the right token. This is probably the token for, well, we can see what the audience is. 3C21. If I take a look at my applications, there are actually two applications running here. One of them is Blog Maui. 3C21 is FusionAuth itself. So that's my FusionAuth token. That's how I'm logged into this console. Okay. Exciting, exciting stuff. Now I have I have authenticated to this replicator running inside of a Docker container. That's all great stuff. And now what I want to do is I want to make sure that I can't just willy-nilly create facts for any user. So here I've made up a new public key. If I actually provided a real public key, I would have just created a site for a different user. And that's not what I want this thing to support. So instead, I'm going to say, let's go ahead and create a security policy. So I'll come in here and I will say I want a new file called blog.policy. And there's my policy file that says authorization for a site. So whenever you see a site, it must come from the site creator. That is the user that is allowed to create that that fact. Now, in order to run this, I also need to remove the no security policies marker file. If I don't, then it's going to fail to start up because it's like, yeah, tell me what you want. You have to be explicit about having no security policies, but yet here you have a security policy. When it fails to start up, you get different ASCII art. Makes it easy to see what's going on. So let's go ahead and delete that no security policies. And yeah, by the way, it says no security policies are disabled, but I see some policies. All right, let's turn off no security policies and then load that thing in. We are good. Also, notice the warning is gone. So we are running the replicator in lockdown mode. It is secure now. I didn't want wide open to be the default, so you have to have marker files in order to open things up. But if you take away those marker files, it is locked down. Can't do anything unless it's allowed by the provider and the policy. So now only the site's creator can create the site. So let's go over here and let's try to create this site again. Watch what happens. This one's interesting. Boom. No token. Okay, well that part's not terribly interesting. It's just this. This part is interesting though. Ba-boom, created. Why? Why does it say 201 created? Well, it's because this fact already existed and this fact already existed. And so because this request doesn't actually try to create any new facts. It just says, yep, they're already here. It doesn't have anything to authorize. So the authorization rules are only run on a new fact, something that it hasn't seen before. Now, those that are security-minded among you might say, but doesn't that leak information if I were to test out a whole bunch of facts and I get a whole bunch of failures until one says, created, then I know that that fact exists. That is true, and I'm trying to think through how to mitigate that and what is the surface area of that attack. So if you have any ideas, let's have a conversation. So that one is on the back burner. But what this also means is that in order for me to test this, I need a new domain. So let's do qdcode.com. And now, boom, it rejected that fact. Okay, so the authorization rules are working, which means that only I can create a site. I must be the creator. So how do I get my own public key? Well, I could go through some shenanigans like this. And here I've just grabbed my own public key from FusionAuth. It's like, okay, I'm logged in. What's my user fact look like? Oh, it's this Janaga user with this particular public key. I'm not going to do that though. Instead, I'm just going to use the little built-in me keyword. So I want to create a site as me, and then bloop, created. That's allowed. Perfect. Okay. So let's see this authorization authentication working on the read side. Well, on the read side, get sites. It's not called authorization anymore because in Janaga, authorization means who can create a fact. This is called distribution. And right now we can see we cannot distribute to this feed because no rules apply. So that is a feed. This is a specification. Notice they look the same, minus the little projection at the end. But this specification splits apart into multiple feeds. It just so happens that this particular specification is simple enough that it's just one feed. And so the distribution is at the feed level. And so you create distribution rules by saying, here's a specification, split it apart into several different feeds, and distribute these feeds to these users. So that means I want to take this feed specification right here. Let's go into my policy, and I want to set up distribution rules. I want to share this. Boom. I want to share this specification with somebody. I want to share that with the creator. So I start a new specification at that same point. This can be an empty specification because all I need is the projection to say it's going to be that creator. So here I just wrote that that distribution rule directly in Factual because I had all the information right here on the screen. But in practice, you're going to be writing this in .NET or in TypeScript and then exporting these rules. So it'll be nice and easy to generate these policies. So there we go. We've got that distribution rule all set up. So now I can distribute the list of sites just to that site creator. So that site creator is the only one that can read their list of sites. So let's go ahead and restart that and give that a try. Show me the pretty ASCII art. Come on. There it is. Yay, you can do it. And now get sites. If I run that, the user does not match creator, Janaga user creator. Oh, that's because I'm trying to get the sites from this other user. The distribution rule says that only I can get my own sites. So therefore, that has to be me. And now, boom, there's qedcode.com. So that is setting up authentication and authorization rules using a token that was created by my identity provider. So coming back to my identity provider here, I'm using FusionAuth. If you ship your applications using self-hosting, then you can run FusionAuth inside of your own container, ship that to the cloud, and you can set up Google and Apple authentication inside of FusionAuth. So follow these instructions and get that set up, and this is going to work for your mobile application users. And they've got other social logins for your web users as well. Or if you want to have FusionAuth manage your own identities, then username, password, MFA, and I believe that they have added passkey support as well. So you have all those different options that you can set up through FusionAuth. So yeah, go ahead and get that configured and deploy something to the cloud. Show me what you build. I'd love to see it. Until next time, take care.